June 30th update, folks. Just 3 days away now. Private sector firms, businesses have confirmed that they are working with police forces in South Africa to ensure tranquility on the 30th of June. But an often overlooked part of safety is something I want to talk about today on the 27th. South African police, as many as 13,000, they claim are mobilized in the Gauteng province alone. Imagine what's happening in KwaZulu-Natal, in the Western Cape, and elsewhere. If you live in peri-urban or rural South Africa, you need to be prepared. Police forces and the military are concentrated overwhelmingly in major metropolitan areas of South Africa as we approach the domestic terrorist deadline of June 30th for foreign nationals to leave the country. This means that already under-policed rural South Africa is in even greater jeopardy from criminal syndicates targeting farms and rural homesteads to criminals of opportunity taking advantage of the lack of law enforcement in rural South Africa. Black, white, and brown South Africans should be prepared for that possible contingency coming up as we approach the 30th. Are you safe in rural South Africa? Well, ask yourself this question. Have you been safe for the past 25 or 30 years? Have you been safe since the mid part of the aught decade when the ANC bogusly disbanded the commando system, or reserve system that served a function to at least provide a veneer of rural security with coordinate search operations and responses to farm attacks and criminality in rural South Africa? But the disbandment of 178 commando regiments has left South Africans particularly vulnerable. And the buildup and concentration of law enforcement and military forces, as well as intelligence, focused on townships, informal settlements, in particular where foreign nationals are residing, and urban areas, means that rural South Africans are going to be left to their own devices over the next several days. And if violence does break out on the 30th, it's likely to consume law enforcement for several days or weeks after that, leaving rural South Africans at the mercy of criminals. We know that criminal syndicates are active in South Africa. We've discovered that through the police, through the Mhlanga Commission, that they have infiltrated the highest ranks of law enforcement. What makes you think that you'll be protected by law enforcement in rural South Africa? Here where I live in Pennsylvania, I can call 911 and a police officer will be here probably in less than 3 minutes. Probably less than 3 minutes. The police station is less than 5 minutes away in a rural peri-urban area. Each township has its own police force. Each city has its own police force. Each county has a sheriff. And in Pennsylvania, we also have rural police, or regional police, I should say, to respond throughout the regions for townships that don't have the resources to have sufficient coverage. And then we have state police, troopers. And that's before we even begin to talk about federal law enforcement that's present in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Are we over-policed? No, we're probably under-policed, but a far larger presence than what you find in South Africa. If I were to call emergency services now for an ambulance, for a genuine emergency, there would be an ambulance here probably within 10 to 15 minutes. Only because I'm not next to the urban center. It takes about that long for them to get here from there. I'm not aware of any ambulance service around here. But law enforcement is ever present and available to respond. Now, that's a small presence, but a quick presence and a quick response. If this area were overwhelmed by black supremacists and Afrophobes threatening foreign nationals, well, that might be a bit of a problem. Of course, where I live, there aren't many black folks here, so maybe not a major issue. But what's going to happen in rural South Africa is an open-ended question, and it's something that South Africans need to pay attention to. If you need to travel on the 30th or around that date, you need to be hyper vigilant. You're always vigilant in South Africa. It's a very tense environment for many South Africans, but be especially vigilant as the 30th approaches. Because there are people who are prepared to loot. They're planning. They've set things in motion. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to happen on the 30th, but if anything gets slightly out of control, watch out, particularly in KwaZulu-Natal and in Gauteng provinces. It doesn't take much to light a wildfire. And South Africa is a tinderbox right now. The tension is high. Nigerians, Ghanaians, Mozambicans, Zimbabweans, Malawians fleeing the country by the tens of thousands. This is a bad look for South Africa. Donald Trump has said that bad things are happening in South Africa, and Africans scoffed at him. But now their nationals are being murdered by vigilantes in South Africa. So are bad things happening in South Africa? You tell me. But rural South Africa needs to prepare for June 30th, just in case. Cheers.